Yo, good morning, good afternoon, and probably good night wherever you're listening us to. This is the second episode of Random Things with me, Henry Githaiga, an economy editor at the Standard Group. Today I'm joined by Brian Okoth. Brian, introduce yourself.
Hi, people. My name is Brian Okoth, the news and current affairs editor at the Standard Group, PLC, right here in Kenya.
Mr. Digital himself, the guy who gets the news fast. So today, the biggest news of the day, fuel prices. How did you get the news and what are the prices?
It came as a lot of relief to me because yesterday I actually had to refuel and I ensured that my car is driving on full tank. Now I feel like I was the most clueless person driving in Nairobi today because the president just decided, you know what, I'm going to release some 16.7 billion shillings to continue sustaining the fuel subsidy program so that he can retain, not him, but so that Kenya can retain the fuel prices at the current rate that they're trading in.
Talking of the subsidy, this thing is crazy. The total now is 101 billion shillings spent on the fuel subsidy. Do you think it's justified?
I feel, for me, yes, it was. That's a very simple question you've asked me. Yes, it has been justified. And I'm looking at the fuel prices in Kenya and comparing them to the neighboring countries and even other countries in Africa. And I'm like, okay, yes, a liter of petrol trades at around 159 shillings, 0.12 in Nairobi. And I look at the capital cities such as Kampala in Uganda and just the neighboring Tanzania here in, is it Dodoma?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's huge. Those guys are paying well over 180, both of them, for a liter of petrol. So the fuel subsidy has been of effect, I would admit.
Okay, so let's lay the facts bare. So today, 159.12 for super, which means they've subsidized it at 50 shillings and 66 cents, 140 for diesel, they subsidized it at 53 and 70 cents, and 127.94 they've subsidized it at 53 shillings and 22 cents. So looking at this thing, was this a political decision?
Of course. You remember in 2017 when the Jubilee administration was seeking re-election, and around that time the prices of maize flour were through the roof, and they came up with some subsidy that allowed maize to be sold just slightly below 100 bob. Back then it had crossed the 100 bob mark, and some economists said, look, this is just some sort of a trap because these people are not going to sustain it beyond possible victory in August. So coming at this time, of course, you've seen him hitting the campaign trail more than he did in the past. He was recently in Samburu. The other time he was right here in Nairobi. And the message is taking out there is, look, vote for this faction, Raila Odinga. Vote for Raila Odinga and Martha Karua. But how can you endear yourself to the electorate trying to say that these people will make your lives better while a liter of petrol in Nairobi goes for maybe 200 bob? Yeah, it won't be convincing. So yes, it's a political move that if he really does want Raila Odinga and Martha Karua to win, he had to do this.
Okay, but the sword cuts both ways. So that means for this money, which we are all happy to receive indirectly because we are still paying it, somebody had to bear the pain, and I'll tell you it has been the oil marketers. So the oil marketers expect a refund of 50 shillings for super. And so far, they're also complaining because they say already the government owes them 32 billion shillings, which they have not paid. Today, the government has added 16 billion shillings, which these guys are expected to be paid. So the next government will come and find, if this money is not paid, 48 billion shillings owed to oil marketers. And the oil marketers argue at some point we'll have to say enough is enough, pay us our money first, because the way fuel is imported is you pay everything to the tax. So, for instance, this time they said fuel was at 290 209 shillings. 209 shillings, the oil marketers' margin is supposed to be 12 shillings. So oil marketers most likely are said to have paid well over 195 shillings. So they pay the 195 and they expect 50 shillings back. Is this sustainable?
Of course, in the long run, it's not sustainable. And I've checked some of the international economy advisors telling Kenya, look, you guys, yes, it's a good temporary mechanism to ensure that your citizens are not feeling the adverse effects of the inflation. But at the same time, look, you can sustain this because such levies, such amounts of money, there is a cap to them that is set by Parliament. So if Parliament set a certain amount and it has already been depleted, that will mean you have to go back to the same house to ask for it to be raised. 100 billion is a 30th of Kenya's budget, because standing at 3 trillion, that's a 30th, meaning you're left with 29 out of 30 in terms of a fraction of the budget to do all these other things. Pay yourself, refund the loans that you borrowed, at the same time ensure development projects, above all, guarantee that the government is running. So for me, it's not something that is sustainable in the long run.
Okay, let me now give you the facts as they stand. So Super Petrol, the one that has received not even the highest subsidy, because they are at 50 shillings and 66 cents. The government is going to collect in taxes 64 shillings. So that means if they pay back 50, the government is left with 14 shillings. Okay, let's go to diesel. The government plans to refund these guys 53 shillings and 70 cents. They have collected 51 shillings and 89 cents. For kerosene, they've collected 45 shillings and 67 cents, and they intend to repay 35 shillings, 53 shillings and 22 cents, which means if you add up the difference, the government is not making more than 9 shillings from fuel in terms of taxes. So in short, if the government had just waived the taxes, we'd not have to do these refunds. Are you of that school of thought?
No, I'm not that school of thought, because there are so sure things in this world that you must interact with. Of course, the first one is birth, and then the second one is death. Not death, sorry.
Taxes, yeah.
Taxes, that's what I wanted to say. Yes, death is also one thing that you are assured of at one point or the other, but for the sake of this discussion, I'll say birth and taxes. Those are things that you really cannot escape.
For you to live, you must be born. And for you to continue living, you must pay a tax.
Taxes, yes. So pay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, as I always say. And the oil and gas sector is one very major sector for any economy. Some of the biggest economies in this world actually trade in that majorly. So it's something that you cannot leave untaxed. People cannot be operating like that.
We're not saying leave it untaxed. We are saying they have applied all these taxes. Someone is asking them to process a refund. After the refund, they'll only be left with 8 shillings. Should they not just have gone for the 8 shillings to begin with? Makes it easier to administer the tax and easier for us as consumers, because if you remember a couple of months back, the same oil marketers were up in arms. We've not been paid. They are said to have caused a fuel shortage, and because they had not been paid, it became more profitable for them to export that fuel to other countries, leaving us the country that is importing in problems.
Yes, for me, I'd say the whole purpose of add here, minus here, take away from this pot is for structure. And without that structure, then we'd be finding ourselves living very precariously. So if the law and the structure says, look, you have to take 12 for this, 7 for this, and another 9 for this, and that brings maybe the total to 40-something, take that 40-something first. Then now do your calculation based on logic thereafter. But if we left it, I'm only coming for 8 bob from you, you've done away with the structure. And once you do away with the structure, then you're living very dangerously as a country.
Okay, let's use something else as a segue to pivot from fuel prices, because the impact of fuel prices cuts across to what you'll pay at the shop, the cost of transport, and all these things. The dollar is one of the factors that has been listed here by IPRA on their report. This is one of the contributing factors to the higher price of fuel. So the dollar, we reported yesterday on the Standard that because of the dollar, there may be another problem of fuel shortages where the guys who are supposed to offload the fuel don't have the dollars to buy the fuel.
Yes.
So how do you see this playing out? Should Kenyans brace themselves? What do you think the government can do? What would you want to see done as a consumer?
Okay, I'd really love the dollar issue to be addressed fast and swift, as much as possible. But I also wouldn't be of the opinion that the reserves are released open so that there is an oversupply of the same, because it will only benefit a few people. Not every other person is in a position to do forex, and forex also does benefit people who engage in it in bulk and have the might, you know.
Yeah, few guys are. This is bulk. They're talking billions here.
Yes. So for purposes of maintaining the economy at equilibrium and making this very precious commodity, in this case the dollar, the more scarce it is for me, the more meaningful even a marketplace operates. So I'm not for break the reserves, release the cash so that people can access more and so that they can buy more, you know. Yeah. And I know that's
so they
what
should release it to these oil marketers who really need it, so there is no shortage. However, they should make sure it doesn't go to the wrong hands.
But if it is released to the oil marketers, what stops the second-hand dealers who buy their clothes from China to say, look, there is a shortage of dollar, help us out here? What makes the second-hand imported vehicle dealers saying, look, we cannot buy vehicles from Japan or Singapore anymore, so release the dollar so that we can? It will shift the entire economy for me. So a preferential treatment for the oil marketers will mean you have to open up the doors even to the others, and that would be a very, very precarious position to be at, if you ask me.
Okay, let's talk about the cost of living before we wrap this up, because alongside fuel means if you are spending more on fuel at an individual level, you have to spend less on something else.
Of course.
However, this something else that you'd rather spend less on has also gone up. So what is this? How is the situation out there, even from you as a consumer?
I feel 1,000 bob, which is the highest single currency in this country, has lost meaning. You can look at what 1,000 bob buys for you in a supermarket, and you can actually hold it all together in your two arms like this, and nobody will believe that is 1,000 bob in there. And the cost of living has basically shot up beyond reach for many Kenyans. And I feel also it's a conversation that is not backed up by any empirical evidence or science, but I feel, yes, in however much the cost of living has shot up, the manufacturers, the producers are also taking advantage of the situation to slap us with some very weird prices, way beyond justification. And when they're asked, they'll say something like the oil prices are up. Basically, there is inflation. The shilling against the dollar has weakened excessively. But even with those factors, I believe there is something called moderate adjustment to prices. You cannot shoot up from, for instance, tissue papers. They were trading at 25, 20 bob the other day. Now they are at 45, 60. Some are even going towards 70, the premium brands. So how do you even explain that?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. But these same guys will talk to you and tell you, we are, if we are being honest, none of them will be honest with you. We are basically next final level value adders. So we will import something that is not really raw.
I agree.
It will come into this country already expensive.
Oh, all right. For me, the basic principle, I believe, of production is increase the price by 100% if the production costs and other expenses have gone up by that equivalent. But you'd find maybe the production cost to these people has gone up by, let's say, 20% or 25 or 30%, but the price reflects 100% increase. The government, we all know how they do their taxation, and so there is really no drastic legal change in terms of legislation in the parliament, in the National Assembly, that has brought about really an absurdly risen cost to this product.
Well, if you think about it this way, that tax in Kenya is cumulatively built. So
that's true.
If one cost goes up here, you add it, you tax it, then you go to the next, you add something else, then you tax it, and so that may look like a 10% increase on paper. Once you add the taxes, which is the same thing if you look at the fuel prices of this money we are talking about, 64
but I have a question.
Shillings is taxes, and it's not the direct tax. It's added upon. First you tax this, then you add another tax on that, on the final price, like that. Do you have a problem with the way the taxes are done?
Yes, there is a problem if you are double, triple, quadri taxing somebody for the same product. I'll give you an example. A vehicle arrives here at the Mombasa port. You tax it, just arrival. Then this vehicle owner looks for because he is not in a position to, let's say, give you 1.2 million importation taxes duty in one go. The vehicle is stored somewhere at the KPA. For 21 days, I believe it's either at very minimal fee or even free. Then thereafter, this person is still looking for 1.2 million to pay you as a government. You are saying this person has taken long to come for their car. You start taxing this person for keeping his vehicle there. He keeps it for a while, the 1.2 million, he doesn't raise it in full. He brings, let's say, 700,000. So you are remaining with 500,000 plus all these other funny expenses, takes it to around 900,000. This person still is unable to raise these funds. After a certain duration, you advertise in the newspaper that you're selling the vehicle. You're selling it, and you're not refunding the money to this person who brought it in without paying the taxes. If that vehicle already leaves, let's say, KPA, you're going to register it at NTSA, another tax. So I agree with you. The Kenyan government is somehow insincere in its taxation policy, and this comes about. Even look at the cost of starting a business. There is county council permit. There is NEMA permit for the sake of the environment in that area. There is the maintenance tax. You'd see them coming about and telling you, look, we collect garbage here, we clean the roads for you. So if you're going to start up a business, let's say, worth 30,000 shillings, you end up paying almost 120,000 shillings. So 90,000 shillings goes to the government. That is around $900 estimated. They're about, or 80 something. So I believe the taxation policy in this country is quite punitive, and it somehow suppresses progress in terms of even starting up businesses, even expanding businesses, and even retaining already established businesses. You've seen very many big firms closing, and it's purely because of the taxation policy. There is so much hidden affairs that by the time you're realizing I'm being suppressed here, you are already in arrears, serious arrears that you cannot come out of.
Okay, so let's go back to fuel. Your car has tasted full tank for the first time in a while because of the scare.
Yes.
So what do you think we need to do? Because every time before the fuel price goes up, we are all at the petrol station, we fill up, and then those guys tell us, hey, the fuel is out, and then we say they're hoarding. So what do you think we need to do to manage this process?
I think having owned a car for a while now, I can say it over 4 years, over 5 years, the small bit economy type of approach is very expensive. Don't go to the filling station and, let's say, put 600 bob. Yes, it will get you to a certain destination, but be sure you'll only get to that destination, then you'll be looking for the next filling station. In the long run, there is what that does to you is you wouldn't know. You'll say maybe I've saved 400 bob out of 1,000 because I've paid 600 on fuel. But at every given time, and this one I'm speaking passionately because I suffered this when I used to do this when I didn't have quite some good disposable amount. When you do this often, you'd realize that your vehicle tends to soak in the dirt from the fuel, and that in essence is going to cause a lot of damage to your fuel pump. So you'll have to change the fuel pump. But if it's done continuously, you'll have to change the entire system, and the dirt and the impurities also tend to damage your engine. So in the long run, after sucking gas and dirt every other time, you'll end up with very expensive repairs. And that is something I learned when my fuel pump left me somewhere on Mombasa Road on some night. And it was a very terrible experience. So, of course, try at every given time. I know the sizes of...
But at 159...
At 159, try. Okay, I would say try at every given time you have at least 5 liters for that cabal to float comfortably, for also your engine to kick up comfortably. Just try to always have some 5 liters at every given time. So, I believe people can do that.
Okay, let's play with maybe.
That's around 750, 800 bob.
750,
yes.
800
And
bob.
That's for a 3 liter anyway, or for a 1.3 liter 1000 cc. The big machines, 1,000 bob does not even shake the gauge. So you have to know your strength and develop a habit of not being so mean on your vehicle, because most mechanical problems in this country today are as a result of somebody who was selfish. He didn't want to spend an extra 300 bob on something. Then it caused an extensive damage, which was progressive. So don't be mean on yourself. Try get yourself some 800 bob minimum of fuel at every given time. Don't.
Okay. As I let you go, okay, so today, are you happy with Uhuru Kenyatta for his political decision?
Yes, I'm very happy. It can sustain us for another month. Of course, the next review will be on August.
5 days after the election.
5 days after the election. I'll assure you there will be no clear presidential race winner as of that time. The last time we saw, especially around 2013, it took almost a week for the presidential election results to come out. So 1 week after the August 8th general election, you'll be so sure there will be no clear administration in place. So I don't know if this Uhuru will be like, the president of Kenya, that is, will be like, I've done my part. I don't care. They should be having a president in the coming few days or 1 month or so. So I don't care. Let the prices go up as much as they can. I don't know if that will be the case. Or they will be retained at the same cost. Or the marketplace, when it comes to fuel, will behave and normalcy. Some relative normalcy will resume. I'm not so sure.
International prices are edging downwards, but because our import quota is normally 2 months or so in advance, so hopefully we should see some change
in
towards
October.
Yeah, we should see some change in October.
I agree. So I'm optimistic for the future, but at the same time I can't be very hopeful. Hoping that maybe the highest that these prices should go, maybe the highest, by estimation for me, highest for a liter of petrol in Nairobi. If things go beyond what they are currently, maybe 170, top. Anything beyond that will be harming a lot of people.
Well, for the record, I don't think I can live with 170. I think I'll just come carpool with you. So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Brian Okoth. This has been Random Things with Henry Githaiga. See you next week.